Welcome. We are a mother-daughter podcast about all things surrogacy. Together, we have brought 8 beautiful babies into this world, and we would like to share through education and knowledge about surrogacy with those who want to educate themselves on the topic. This is Stop.Sit.Surrogate.
There's an overwhelming feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of surrogates in that moment decide, I'm doing it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Doing it again. Yep. And we hear that constantly. I don't know. It's like, wow. Whoa.
I swore to my mom. She's like, you're going to do it again when my first journey. And I was like, you're out of your mind. I'm doing this one and done. That baby was born. And then literally I was like in the hospital. So and I was like, yeah, I'll do it again. And here I am like now my 4th journey. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an undescribable feeling.
So after delivery, mom's got her and dad, and they're doing their thing. Are they hanging in the room with you for about an hour or so, and then you get split rooms? What's post-birth looking like?
So right after delivery, they were there for a little bit, and then they ended up moving them to their own room. It's a big hospital. So they've got lots of rooms. That was awesome. They got to have that bonding moment with her. And they do the golden hour. So they wanted them to be able to have that golden hour, alone together. So that was awesome. Now, after delivery, I was bleeding a lot. I ended up having retained placenta. So
oh my gosh.
had to.
I had that.
Yeah.
We all know, Ellen.
It's really common with IVF for the placenta to just be extra sticky. Like placenta.
I don't want to say that.
But I mean, it's common for the placenta to be more sticky. Now, that doesn't usually cause issues. However, it is with IVF pregnancies. It is possible for like placenta accreta to happen, where that could be dangerous. But most of the time, it's not an issue. Most of the time, it's just like maybe, a little DNC. So I had to go in for a DNC. I was puking the whole time, so it wasn't fun.
Wait, were you not put to sleep? Were you not put to sleep for a DNC?
Okay, so what the plan? I had the epidural, so they were just going to basically like turn the epidural into a spinal, like just make it stronger, and then just do it.
Yeah.
But they do a little test where they poke you with this like syringe on your leg, and I could still feel it completely. And then I was puking. I was puking the whole time. I ate a lot when I was during the induction. I was eating like full meals that whole first day. They said until I got the epidural or until I was like past 4 centimeters that I was good. So I was enjoying
wild. I've never heard that. Like you were eating solids, not Jello, not chicken broth, like solids.
Because there's no guarantee you didn't have to go in for an emergency C-section. That could have happened. Like that's weird. Okay.
I was enjoying myself. Their hospital is pretty
good. Crazy.
Yes.
So now you're throwing up and you're having a DNC? Crap.
I was puking. Now it had been like at least 12 hours since I had eaten. So it wasn't probably I had digested most of it, but I was just so nauseous after delivery. I think all of the Pitocin and they kept raising the Pitocin to try to get me to stop bleeding as much.
Right.
So I was on a lot of drugs at that point. They kept giving me more and more Cervidil. So I was just very nauseous. I told them put as much Zofran as you can into my IV because I'm so nauseous right now. Yeah. I did end up puking a bunch, and then they did have to put me under general eventually because the spinal did not work at that point. Yes. So but it was a beautiful hospital. I just went to the recovery room. I was perfectly fine. So
with your ocean view.
So I was cool the whole time. And then finally at the end of the day I got moved to postpartum. So got moved up there. They came in with a baby. I got to hold her and really meet her for the first time. She was such a cutie. And it was awesome.
Did you feel the need, or did you have the thought of being like, hey, I would like alone time for me and my family after, like before you guys leave the hospital? Was that like something that was on your list or no?
So it was not something that I put in my contract. I know you always recommend that. But we had just a really close relationship. So I knew they were like she called me she called me like Auntie Sophia, like at the
Aw,
transfer,
that's sweet.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so I wasn't, concerned at all that they wouldn't want
sure.
that. And they wanted me to see her. They let me like bottle feed her,
Oh,
and yeah, it was really cool. And we're just, all close. So they were in the room right next to me. So we
Ugh,
just got to,
I
hang
love that.
out until discharge. It was really cool. I was like up walking super easily. I had the easiest recovery ever. Like, which
Good
is crazy
Lord.
because with my son, I tore really bad. So I
Oh,
could not walk for like 4 weeks after having him.
oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, like I could walk, but like,
yeah, yeah,
it'd
yeah.
been like
Yeah,
hunched
not
over,
comfortably. Yeah.
With this baby, she popped out so easily. She was little, like 5 pounds. So she,
Yeah.
I didn't tear. Easiest recovery ever. I was like walking around the mall 4 days later, even though I
Nice.
lost so much blood, but I
Wow.
Yeah,
was
your
fine.
body
Yeah.
just knew what to do. It was like, I can recover. I
Yeah.
did this before. It's easy now. I got it.
Yes.
So did
Yeah.
you
So,
immediately start pumping then? Because you all knew that they wanted the milk, right? You all knew they
yes.
wanted breast milk. So you immediately
Yeah.
started pumping in the hospital?
Yeah, so I actually, when they told me I was bleeding too much, I
Yeah.
was like, grab the breast pump. Like, I want to see if this will help the uterus
Oh,
contract
Yeah.
to
right.
help stop the bleeding. Now, it didn't because
Yeah.
I had retained placenta.
Right.
They had to do like an ultrasound to confirm that.
Yeah.
But I had tried it immediately, like within an hour after,
Yeah.
Okay.
because I knew I wanted to, provide breast milk. I collected colostrum for a couple
Okay.
weeks prior to delivery as well.
Oh,
So I had like
cool.
50 little syringes for the
Aw.
baby. So they were like set in the
Wow.
hospital. I brought it in a little cooler. They didn't have a freezer for it at the hospital, but
Okay.
brought it in a little cooler. She was good. Like she had lots of breast milk available.
That's
They did
great.
start her on formula in the hospital because they knew that they would probably be combo feeding pretty quickly since they live across the country.
Yeah.
So they just wanted to make sure that she was, good on it before they left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah, so I started pumping immediately after. I pumped like every 3, 4 hours or something from
Yeah.
delivery.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for you.
That's a lot to do
Yeah.
on yourself. I mean, like
That
my
is.
sister pumped. I didn't do breast milk for my son. I've never pumped. I dry out in like 2 days. So like I
yeah.
don't even know if I could. If I really tried, maybe, but like I never felt the need to like try and do it.
Hmm.
But that's a lot because again, if you pump, my understanding with what my sisters told me, like, okay, well, Kennedy, like if
Mm.
you don't have the baby, but you're still pumping, like you're still waking up as if you had
Yes.
the baby.
Right.
And so I'm like, that sounds not great.
Yeah.
So, and that is what I would love to share with all surrogates
Ah.
is make sure that when you agree to pump that it is the right decision for you.
Hmm.
Because once you bring your breast milk in, it's not like a faucet. You can't just turn it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people's milk comes in to an extent, even if they don't pump, they'll have some engorgement
Yeah.
for a few days. They can just take Sudafed and use cabbage leaves and whatever after delivery, and it'll
Mhm.
dry up.
Yep.
That is a way easier decision to just
Yep.
do that.
Yeah.
Way easier. Now, I will say the pumping was harder than the pregnancy. Way
Mm.
more work than the
Yeah.
pregnancy, way
Hmm.
harder. When you're pregnant, you can just live your normal life. When you're
Yeah.
Right.
pumping, you have to pump at work. You have to pump
Mm.
at home. When you
Right.
leave the house, if you're going to Disneyland or whatever, you have to bring
Right.
all of your pumping
That's
supplies with you.
wild.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. So the logistics of it are not like you're feeding a
It's a
baby.
lot.
You just
Right.
don't
Yeah.
have the baby to feed.
Right.
Right.
So it's a
And then you have
lot.
to ship it. Then you had to ship it because yours was
Yes.
across
And
the
clean
country.
the instruments and
Yeah.
prep it all
Yeah.
again.
So yeah, sterilize, and I follow like the milk bank guidelines because I'm so paranoid about like things in
Uh-huh.
breast milk.
Yeah.
So I have the sterilizer. I cleaned every part every time. Yeah, so it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I was blessed with an oversupply, so for me, I didn't have to try to get my supply up for the baby like some surrogates do.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issue with producing. So it wasn't like that was a blessing. That wasn't some
Yeah.
extra issue I had to deal with.
Mhm.
And then I did have to wake up in the middle of the night sometimes to pump just because I was so engorged, but I really avoided that from the beginning
Okay.
because I wanted to just be able to like pump like 6 times a day and that's all and not have to worry
Okay.
about, throughout the night.
Yeah.
Um, Yes, but something that a lot of surrogates don't think about when they go into their contracts is the compensation
Yeah.
Right.
for pumping. So I commonly see like 200 to 300 a week for the pumping compensation.
Mm.
I
Doesn't
I
seem like enough.
I wouldn't, if I were to do it again, I would never agree to that amount. I in my contract it said 350.
Okay.
Now, for the surrogate baby, for a short period of time, I would have been okay with that. Now, doing that long term, like agreeing to that for a year for an IP who's really motivated to continue with breast milk, I
Yeah.
don't know that I would be able to do that because it is a lot of work. There's lost wages from work. If you
Yeah.
are working,
Mhm.
like they don't have to pay you for your pumping time. So they have to give you time to pump, but they don't have to pay you.
Wow.
So you'll have lost wages from pumping, the supplies. So in the
Hmm.
contract, a lot of times it says like they'll cover pumping supplies, but a lot of surrogates are kind of scared to actually ask for everything to be covered. So they'll buy pumps and supplies and stuff outside of what's
Oh.
covered. Sometimes you have to buy an extra freezer. I had to buy two extra freezers. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
yes, yeah. So there's a lot that goes into the pumping
Yeah.
part because you're feeding a
Yeah.
baby, just not your own. The baby's not there for you to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So then
yeah,
ballpark, Sophia, like what do you think is
It's
like a minimum that a
fair.
surrogate like
Yeah.
that's worth a surrogate's time? Because again, it's a lot of time. And like you said, you know,
It's a 24/7 thing. And even though
yeah.
you didn't pump it a lot at night, you have to think about it. Surrogacy is a 24/7 thing. So when
Yeah.
people say
yeah,
you're making so much money and we broke that down and said, yeah, no, it's like
Not
you're working
really.
at
So,
McDonald's. Like, no, it
yeah,
yeah.
really isn't because it's a year-long commitment.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah, if you broke that 350 down, then it's
That's like a
pennies.
day, that's like a
Yeah,
day and a half of work. Like,
yeah,
yeah. It's like every day, if you really calculate the time that you're spending pumping, cleaning parts,
yeah,
yeah.
bagging the milk is the worst part for me because I was an
Gosh.
overproducer.
yeah,
It's a lot of time. It is another full-time job. You're
yeah.
working
Right.
if you're a working mom, like that is a
A
lot
lot.
on you.
Hmm.
Um, so if you were a stay-at-home mom, I would say like if and you were just really wanting to pump for the
Yeah,
baby, I
yeah.
think that the average is okay. I think that like 350
Sure.
would be,
Okay.
reasonable. Um, but it's really like it's such a labor of love that
Hmm.
I like if you can't find a comfortable amount for you, I probably would not agree to it as a surrogate.
Yeah.
I would
That's
Yeah,
really need to
fair.
make sure that it was an amount that would cover my lost wages,
Right.
would
yeah,
cover, a
The
full-time job.
supplies.
yeah.
Yes, and it like when you are agreeing to it, that's something like it's truly out of the kindness of your heart because
Yeah.
in a compensation agreement, most of the time it's a weekly amount. Now, what I've
Hmm.
seen more and more lately is like a dollar or a dollar 50 or sometimes $2
Per
per ounce
ounce.
in your
Hmm.
contract. I think that
Okay.
that is probably more reasonable for a lot of people. I've also seen there will be a weekly amount, but that will be up to a certain amount of ounces so that a surrogate can
Okay.
choose to donate to Preemie Milk Bank, it's called, which is a milk
Got
bank
it.
specifically for surrogates.
Right.
Preemie Milk Bank pays $1.20 per ounce currently,
Okay.
and they're accepting surrogates all of the time. Um,
Amazing.
so, but not everybody qualifies. I actually didn't qualify for a Preemie Milk Bank because I am like questionably diagnosed with
With the
Hashimoto.
preeclampsia. Oh
No,
no.
Hashimoto's actually.
Hashimoto's.
Yeah,
Oh, look
Oh,
at
yeah. I
you.
just
Okay.
there's like the levels in my blood work, but
Yeah.
I haven't
interesting.
needed like
Yeah.
intervention for it.
Huh.
So but they're very strict because
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
they are.
The
exclusively
babies are, yeah,
to
I would be too. Sure.
Yeah.
yeah. So now they pasteurize it and it goes through a whole like process
Oh, look
prior to
at
being
that.
fed to the babies.
Okay.
That's
But yeah, they're
cool.
very strict, so not everybody qualifies. But if you're going to donate to Preemie Milk Bank, um, you would be making less giving to intended parents than to Preemie Milk Bank most of the time. So
Right. Yeah.
definitely, something a lot of surrogates they just sign the agency agreement when they on board
Yep.
and they're like, oh yeah, I'll probably pump after delivery, but they
Right.
don't.
Right.
That's something that a lot of people don't really consider, and it is a huge
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My cat is being really loud.
Oh, we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I have noise canceling headphones.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, that is something really like from the beginning of the journey. If
Hmm.
Yeah.
when you're doing contracts, like it seems so far down the road, but
Right.
it is an important thing that you don't agree to something that is less than what is
You're
actually
comfortable.
reasonable for your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So, I pumped from my intended parents for about a month or so after delivery.
Okay.
Okay.
We actually use a service called Milkify.
Okay.
Um, and they actually freeze dry the milk. It's like an FDA approved lab. They
Oh,
freeze dry the
cool.
milk for you. They have a drop off location locally to me. So I was able to actually drop off the frozen milk. They freeze dried it and sent it directly to the infant parents. So it's
Oh,
almost like a formula powder at that point, but it has all of the nutritional
Yes.
benefits of breast milk.
Right.
So
amazing.
we did that for the first like 300 ounces. And
Okay.
then after that, I was pumping like 100 plus ounces a day. So I needed
Whoa.
to ship. Like my freezer was completely full.
Wow.
Wow.
So yes. So we ended up shipping. That's the whole process. There's a Facebook group called
Wow.
what's it called? Exclusively Pumping Surrogates. Any surrogate, I highly recommend you
Ah,
join that group. Like any
Okay.
advice on shipping, that's the hardest thing. You have no idea how you're gonna ship breast milk.
right.
That group will tell you exactly how much fits in every freezer box, where to
Ah,
get it, where to get the cheapest shipping rates. It's something called
mm,
Pirate Ship that you go on instead of just going to UPS. Like that group is awesome. It's an excellent resource, and if you're pumping for infant parents, highly recommend.
wow.
Um, yes, yeah. So we ended up shipping across the country twice, and
Okay.
then they told me they didn't want breast milk anymore. So I had hundreds and thousands of ounces.
Hold on. We got
Of,
to go back. We got to go back just a little bit. When they
Mhm.
tell you you don't want breast milk anymore, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's an important
Mm-hmm.
question too. So I actually do recommend in contracts
Yeah.
that surrogates put in there some sort of
Time frame.
time frame on
Yes.
Mhm.
when they need to be notified
Yeah.
of stopping pumping because you have to wean and
Yeah.
it is a process and you have to keep pumping multiple times a day while you're weaning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I think at least 2 weeks is a reasonable amount of
Okay.
Okay.
time of notice.
Okay.
I didn't have that in my contract. It wasn't a huge deal because I knew I was going to keep pumping and I knew I would try to find somebody else.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I do recommend that because
Right.
it's good to get that notice.
Sophia, I want to ask you a question because again, this was never part of my life. So could you, like you said something and it's like sticking with me forever now. Like once you decide to let your milk come in, you can't turn it off like a faucet. And I'm like, oh, okay, who knew? Not me.
You can.
Like I knew that like you had to like dry it out because like I used to like I would use cabbage leaves for like 3 days after and I'm solid. Like it's not,
Mhm.
I'm done. So, but when you're weaning, so like can you just continuously like produce milk for like ever if you don't wean?
There are surrogates who I've seen pumping for 2 plus years after delivery.
Wow.
Because you like babies can
Wow.
breastfeed till they're like, 6. Like as long as you want, you can keep
Yeah.
That's
producing
true.
breast milk. Yeah. So if you keep pumping and you stay consistent with it,
Yeah.
and like there's things that
Yeah.
can reduce your supply. If you get pregnant again, your supply is probably dropping. If you get super sick, like your supply is probably dropping. So
Yeah.
there are things that can start the weaning process that make it harder to get your supply back up.
Yeah.
But in order to stop pumping, you're at risk of mastitis, you're at risk
Mhm.
of clogged ducts, you're at risk of all types of things.
Right.
Mastitis can turn into sepsis. So it's an
Uh-huh.
actual, health risk, which is
Yes.
why there's laws protecting us pumping at work because you can't just have a
Um,
baby and be breastfeeding your baby and go back to work and not pump. Like it's an actual health risk for
Yeah.
you. So yeah. So the
Wow.
weaning process is hard for pumping. You have to slowly start to increase the time between pumps. You
Mhm.
have to slowly start reducing the time of the pumps. A lot of people have to, hire a lactation consultant to help them because they're having a
really?
hard time like getting the
Yeah.
milk to stop and not having clogged ducts. So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
lucky
my
I'm not prone
gosh.
to clogged ducts, but some people they have a hard time. So it's a huge process. And there are surrogates who agree to pump who have never done it before, never breastfed their kids. So
Oh
they're not
my.
super educated in the process either. So
Yeah.
that's why it's
Oh
so important
my.
See, that's my
to
thing. Like, I didn't do it with my own child, so like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, after talking to my sister, I'm like, yeah, I didn't think
No.
this through. That's not
yes.
something that I should try for someone else.
No.
Yeah. It's a lot
Agreed.
of
Yeah.
work
If
for
my own
pumping.
didn't get it, I wasn't going to be forthcoming and give it to. I thought doing the
Yeah.
pregnancy itself because I had some complicated ones. That was enough. Like then it's my turn. Now I have to recoup. I have to recover. I have to start taking care of my kids again. Like there was just a life that needed to be had.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how does this Facebook group get started with you? Like how does that happen?
So that Facebook group that I made didn't exist before
Okay.
before I, made it.
Yeah.
So I had the hardest time finding people to give breast milk to. There's groups where you can donate for free, which I
Okay.
did a lot of. That's how I got to the 13 number of babies that
Gotcha.
I fed. I donated
Wow.
some to my friend. My friend had just had twins,
Oh,
so I donated some to her.
Aw.
okay.
She's they're over a year old and she's still breastfeeding them, so she did
Wow.
awesome. But it's helpful for her
Wow.
those first few weeks to have some
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah.
And then I donated a lot through, it's called Human Milk for Human Babies on Facebook. That's a donation group. You're not
Okay.
allowed to ask for compensation there.
Okay.
So that's like you're giving it away for free.
Yeah.
Um, which is, okay, I was comfortable with that until I found more people to pump for and be compensated for, but it's
Yeah.
a lot of work to do for free.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually ended up finding my long-term family that I provided their baby with a year of breast milk. I found them through that free group, but I had messaged them and they wanted me to keep pumping for them. They had a baby via surrogate. They had
Oh,
no idea where to find a surrogate to pump for them. Their surrogate stopped producing milk and their baby was born a couple weeks before I delivered. So we were
Okay.
really, close
same time
and
frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes. Yeah. So I ended up pumping them for maybe 10 total months and they had enough to last them through the year.
Were they
um,
closer proximity or did you have to ship?
so that was a fun thing. We actually sent the breast milk via Ubers, just like
I
regular
love
Uber.
it. I love it.
it
So
was
they were close
it's
proximity. Okay.
so funny every time. Yeah, they live maybe like an hour away or
That's
Oh
so.
my
fun.
gosh, that's
That's
funny.
Yes.
fun. That's fun.
Yeah. So
Here comes your
that
breast
yeah.
milk by Uber.
Yeah. It was
That's
so
cute.
funny when the Uber
That's
drivers
awesome.
would show up. I'm like, yeah, it's actually not gonna be me. It's just gonna be this bag of breast milk. Like,
Oh my gosh,
make sure
I'm
you
thinking
keep
that
it
like
cool.
Uber Eats
Oh
or
my God.
something.
Oh
You're
my
like
God.
legit Uber.
Ubering,
That's
yeah. And
hilarious.
Lyft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yep.
God.
No passenger, just
Funny.
Just
the
the
breast
breast
milk.
milk.
That is
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah. So I
sorry,
was
but
just
who thought of that? Whose idea was
it
that?
was it was that family. I guess I'm not
Unbelievable.
sure. I think they had
Kudos.
probably done it with somebody else.
Kudos.
But it's a high profile family. They're very busy. They have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna try to it was too much to try to coordinate meeting up.
Sure.
So they're just like, oh yeah, let's just Uber. I'll send an Uber to pick up the milk. So I
That's
was I
fantastic.
was weirded out at first. I was like, you guys like is this a scam? Like I'm just gonna put my breast milk in an Uber? Like
Right.
I
Right.
had no idea what was happening, but it worked out.
Put an
And so
AirPod in there and track it, like, oh, where is
yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
So
So it worked
Great.
out. None of the Ubers ever stole the milk and like sold us the bodybuilders or
I didn't know what it
anything.
was.
good.
Yeah.
Um,
Funny. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah, but it worked out. Everything arrived frozen and everything, so it
That's
wasn't an
hilarious.
issue.
Hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. So I produced for them for their baby got to a year,
Wow.
and then I still had too much milk because their baby
Jesus.
only drinks like 28 ounces a day. I was producing like 100.
Sure.
So then for a while I was donating to three babies at once. One was a toddler who used to be a preemie.
Oh.
Um, and then the other one, I met a family in August, and the mom was actually the first family. They actually hired me a lactation consultant to meet with.
That's nice.
So she referred me to a different family
Aw.
who the mom was a double mastectomy breast cancer survivor, and she
Oh.
wanted her baby on breast milk. So, and they had just had the baby. The lactation consultant probably texted me from the hospital and said, like, I just met this woman in the hospital. She just had her baby, and they have no idea, like, we don't know how to get them breast milk. So, can you help? So, we got
That's
connected through
cool.
that, and I got their baby to 6 months before I weaned.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Was that a
yeah,
ship or was that a close?
they're they're local too. So everybody I ended up
Okay.
continuing with was local. It's shipping is expensive. There's a lot of
Yeah.
scammers on the internet that
Yeah.
will like get money from people, say that they're going to donate the breast milk to them for free if they just pay for shipping, and then like ghost them. They're like in different countries, like scamming people on breast milk groups. It's very scary. So my group, I screen people very well before you come in. You have to be an intended parent or an adoptive parent and let some of them in, or a surrogate. Like it's very safe, no scammers in there. But
so the couple that you just helped for 6 months, the double mastectomy mom, that was, you were compensated for that?
Yeah. So so I donated to a few families for free, just trying to offload the breast milk. It wasn't a viable option for me because it's very expensive for all the pumping supplies. But the main family that I did for a year, they compensated me very, very well, way more than I asked. Yes, that was awesome. It was a blessing. Super awesome. And then the second family was a toddler who the mom had weaned him, but he wasn't gaining weight after she weaned him. So and he used to be a preemie, so she just he drank a lot of milk every day. And she was, paying money to make sure that her toddler got, better nutrition, he could gain weight, and he ate beautifully on it. And then third family was that double mastectomy mom. And then I actually helped set her up with a different surrogate to continue providing breast milk for them. So their baby gets to stay on breast milk for a whole year, which is awesome. And I found that surrogate through my group. The Facebook group is called GCs and IPs Breast Milk Connection.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes.
GCs and IPs, that makes sense. That's a cute
name. Yeah, it's awesome. So there's some questions that you have to answer before you go into there, but I would love to get more people in there and everything because it's hard to find people.
And I think a lot of people in the community are looking to like, well, wait, hold on, my IPs don't want this, or oh, hey, my IPs, we're done. Like we only did it for a short time. Now what do I do? Like who else needs it? Because I've seen a couple girls.
This is going to reach a lot of people. Be ready.
So there's like maybe a couple hundred in there right now.
We
need more IPs in there, so hopefully we get more of them because there's a lot of surrogates with milk that are ready to ship it out or give it to people. But
So let me ask you a question then. So through this Facebook group and through the matching of the intended parents and the surrogates who want to be able to give their breast milk, is there a fee scale? No. Do the intended parents and surrogate decide together, or is this free?
So you go in the group, you post as an intended parent, you're going to post where you're located, what you're looking for, how much you can afford to pay, because there are definitely some people who they can't afford to pay more than like 50 cents per ounce for breast milk. So, you put what you can afford to pay, where you're located, if you have any restriction requirements. So,
and when you say restriction requirements, is that like dairy and things like that for the surrogate to be intaking?
Yes. And there are definitely some babies that need dairy-free breast milk. I had one woman looking for dairy-free, gluten-free breast milk.
Oh my gosh, if I'm confused, I'm your girl, but I don't.
So, and I had seen her posting everywhere and like every breast milk group trying to find somebody because that's like a very specific restriction. But I think she was able to find somebody. And then, so that's intended parents. If you're a surrogate, you're going to post, hopefully a picture of the milk so they know that you're like legit. Your compensation request. If you follow any dietary restrictions, COVID vaccine is a big thing. A lot of people have opinions, one way or the other.
If they want it or not.
So so some people will have that as a preference. So you just post in there and then you just comment on it and then hopefully you DM each other if everything will work out.
Is payment just like Venmo or Zelle or?
So I always recommend at least the first couple times to use like PayPal goods and services. They also have that on Venmo as well. Just because like you don't know each other, you're just strangers. You just make sure that like nobody is scamming the other one because like I said, not my group, but there are lots of groups on Facebook just for buying breast milk in general where people are desperate to like get their NICU baby breast milk, and there will be some scammer from like Indonesia or something that is posing as some American lady and trying to, and just getting people to like Zelle them or Apple Pay them a bunch of
I
money. And
don't like people.
it happens all
That's
of the time. It is crazy. It's
That's
crazy. And
sad.
like breast
taking
milk is
advantage of
such a
desperate
niche.
people.
Of
Yeah.
vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's such a niche. Like, how do they
Yeah.
find these groups and
That's
know to scam?
ridiculous.
I don't know. Scammers are very
Wow.
creative.
They're very interesting.
Mhm.
Yep.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh,
Do you still stay in contact with your couple?
yes,
Yeah.
you just got a
Oh
video
yeah.
of the
I know,
one-year-old.
Mom. It's just one
Yeah.
of the questions we ask Ellen. Jeez.
I'm curious. Is she still Snow White hair? Like what white or did you?
So she's still very blonde. It's not like icy as much. Like there's definitely some more pigment, but she's very blonde
Are
and
the
very
parents
cute.
blonde?
Yeah, or either.
So the mom has like naturally like brunette blondish hair, but
Okay.
it's not super light, and I don't know, I think she might do like highlights or something to
Sure.
lighten it. So I always just pictured a dark haired baby.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Okay.
actually for the baby's birthday I sent them like a painting that I did of the mom and the baby. I do like oil painting sometimes. So
Good.
um
You
so
have a lot of
but
trades.
I
Power to you.
I was planning on doing a painting during delivery because I had a dream. I had the same dream about my son. I dreamed about what he was going to look like and what gender he was going to be, and it was right. And then
Wow.
the surrogate baby, I dreamed about what gender she was going to be. They didn't find out until during the pregnancy.
Good.
They didn't. They had the embryos tested, but they chose not to
Not
know
to know.
yet.
Okay.
But I had a dream that it was a baby girl,
Aw.
and it was a baby girl, and I had a dream that she had dark hair. She did not have dark hair, so that was wrong. But I was about to
Aw.
paint the baby with like dark hair, so luckily I waited till after
Aw.
because she was very blonde. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
That's very sweet.
That's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
And are they loving parenthood?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Yes, it's so, and they actually a couple months ago let me know that they matched with a surrogate for baby number two, which I was standing in the car dealership at that point, just getting my car serviced.
Yeah.
I started tearing up. I was so
Oh,
excited because I'm like,
oh,
baby gets a sibling. It's just
that's
the most
sweet.
amazing thing ever that this family that like
Yeah.
you helped grow, that you've learned this news that they're gonna be going through that again and
Yeah.
having the baby hopefully. So
That's fantastic.
yes, yeah. So
It's really
yeah.
cool.
Well, Sophia, do you have any advice for any surrogate that's looking, well, for any girl that's looking to be a surrogate?
My advice is do your research, of course.
Mhm.
Now research, not just through Google. Google is not your friend as a surrogate. Google will get you ads of agencies that will tell you that you're going to get paid 115,000 plus.
That's
You're
not
not.
a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not a thing. Like maybe if you're a fourth time surrogate, I have heard that now.
Me too.
But
I've heard that amount
yeah,
too.
yeah, but it's not going to happen in your first journey. And don't go with
Mhm.
the agency that advertised the highest amount because they're
Right.
probably the worst. They're
Right.
probably the least ethical.
Oh
You,
my gosh, I
you
love you, Sophia. You're
yeah,
Not like it is. That's
definitely
right.
like the first thing when you're looking at compensation is find what you're comfortable with.
Yep.
Look on Facebook, first of all. Facebook is where you go for surrogacy. Um,
really? You're a
yeah,
Facebook fan.
and
Interesting.
I made a Facebook account for surrogacy, and I couldn't even get accepted into the groups because I like didn't have a profile picture for the longest time.
Wow.
Because because I like, where do you find agency reviews? Like Google
Mm.
is just
Well, I've been trying to get do it anonymous. So we have a
yeah,
couple, and
and I
so, but it's scary to leave the reviews like publicly
because they'll
because
threaten you if
a
they were to.
lot, yeah, and a lot of people
Right.
sign NDAs saying I'm not going to say anything, and it's
Right.
like, well, but I signed an NDA, so I can't legally say which crappy agency I worked with. But I've had girls be like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe you should look somewhere else." Like,
Mhm.
I'll
Right.
say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But the agency, the compensation, and the intended parents to me should all be separate when you're
Yes.
looking into surrogacy.
Okay.
Because you can find intended parents through, I mean, I went through a matching platform. You can find them on
Yep.
Facebook, you can find them in your local mom group or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can find the right people. You don't need to agree to who an agency displays in front of you.
Right.
If you're not comfortable matching with international intended parents that are probably not going to be their delivery and don't have the same, preferences as you don't have to to match with them.
Right.
And there are a lot of agencies out there that they may advertise the high comp amount and may have, really nice people that you speak to, but they are not going to match you with a couple that's going to be excellent to work with. So that should definitely be separate, in your consideration. Make sure that you choose an agency that you really like. Make sure that you choose intended parents that you really like, whether through the agency or independently. And make sure that you choose a compensation amount for every little detail that you are comfortable with, because you should be the one deciding all of these things. It shouldn't be you, oh yay, I got accepted by an agency, like I'm excited, we're going to do this, and just sign all of the dotted lines to get it happening quickly. A lot of surrogates, they just get excited, like they're just excited to do it, and maybe they're thinking I'll do a second journey, so everything will be good the second time. I'll learn a lot in the first journey. But there are lots of surrogates who do get preeclampsia, who have a hysterectomy after, who have some complication, which there are so many things that can come up that would disqualify you from a second journey. And IVF, it does have more complications. There's a higher statistic of complications than a non-IVF pregnancy. So if yours are beautiful and perfect, there is a possibility that the surrogate one won't be beautiful and perfect, might have complications, and you don't get to carry again after that. So
make the first one like it's going to be your only one.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
great
whole
advice.
time. Yeah.
That whole thing you just said, I think is the best answer. I'm not dissing anybody else, but like you really have it nailed down.
Yeah.
You really do. I really appreciate the candid.
So yeah, it's so important that every decision that you make going into it, throughout the journey, before the journey, that you are comfortable with, you're making an autonomous and informed decision, an empowered decision, that your family's on board with it, that you're not agreeing to a double embryo transfer when like your partner's not on board, which I was about to do apparently. Yeah.
Advocate for yourself. Bottom line, you gotta advocate for yourself.
Absolutely. And
don't be afraid.
If something's not working out with an agency, you don't have to go forward with it.
There's 1,000 other agencies.
Yes, there are so many. I was just talking to an agency the other day, and they were saying like they were like one of the first in California, and now there's like 150 others in California. Like everybody has an agency in California. So there you can have an excellent journey. There are so many complications that happen along the way, failed transfers, like pregnancy complications, miscarriages. There are crazy things that can happen during a journey. So just make sure that everything that you can control is aligned with what's going to be good and agreeable for you.
100%. 100%. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I know this was long, but this was so amazing.
This is awesome. Yeah.
I kept forgetting things and then remembering them again. Like I forgot that she flipped. That was a crazy.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was beautiful, and I recommend it to anybody who is interested in it. If you have like a mean boyfriend who's not on board, maybe he's not the boyfriend for you,
we do talk about it, and we actually said, oh my gosh, we talked about it with Grace, and we got to actually get with it, but to bring our spouses or boyfriends who have been through it and do a podcast,
a surrogacy husband podcast.
Okay, we're gonna work on it now, because I just remembered.
We need it because it's important.
It's such a unique perspective of like the man going through on the intended parent side too. That would be so interesting.
Yeah, because we'll have to do surrogate side and intended parent side, because it's very different.
Yes, and you know what was the most beautiful thing ever? Let me pull up this text message that I got on baby's birthday. So I normally, like, ever since I delivered, I normally just talk to the mom, because it's I don't know, I'm an awkward person. Like, it's a little bit awkward talking to her husband.
No, I would be I would feel the same way.
But he messaged me on her first birthday. I just wanted to say thank you for making me a dad. She's the best. Hope you're doing well. Aww. And I sent him a picture, and I said the most special thing I've ever done. Wouldn't change it for the world. Happy 1 year of raising the cutest little girl. Aww. And then he said forever thankful for you. So it's just like
so sweet.
It is like I can't, and that's what I would be so interested in hearing more about IP dads who have to
Yeah.
watch their wives go through this, because
Yeah.
it's such a helpless position to be in,
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch your wife go through
I just got
miscarriages,
the
go through
chills.
infertility. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I did too.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting because like we've had my dad on before and he gave his perspective of when my mom almost died twice.
Yeah.
And you know, because there's things that he didn't know that was going to happen and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then it's really it would be really really I don't think we've talked to we've talked to one
Intended.
intended dad.
You did. We
We
did.
did. And we'll have to talk to more
Yeah.
because it is an interesting
It's sometimes
It is.
hard, I think, for them to want to agree to come on because they're, like you
yeah.
said, they're in a very vulnerable state and
Mhm.
men don't share as easily as women. I think they're getting better about it, but
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
rock. They got to be there. They got to be the ones to
Yeah.
support. And sometimes it's going to be hard to break those walls down, but we've been trying. We'll definitely
Yeah.
If
do it.
Yeah.
anybody out there would like to come on for one of these conversations,
Yeah.
please reach out to us. I don't feel comfortable reaching out to people for that, so reach out to us.
And we
But
could
yeah,
do it. We could do it like in a little forum, like maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
guys,
I
like
think that would be
bounce it off.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of support for intended
Yeah.
dads, I
There's
feel like.
Yeah.
not.
And it's
Agreed.
such a vulnerable position to be in. You
Yeah.
are so out of control of
Agreed.
everything.
Agreed.
Like it's not even your wife, it's another woman
Mhm.
carrying your wife's baby, and you
Right.
have to support her through all of the anxiety
Yep.
of what comes along with that.
These men
Yeah.
need their own
I
support
have
monthly
I have
groups.
so much respect for intended dads, and I just
Yeah.
yeah, it was that's something that really like hits just different with the whole journey is like I
Yeah.
got to make somebody a father who's not
Yep.
my partner.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Oh, that's
he like
true.
his grandma became a great grandma with
Yeah.
the
Oh,
baby too. So
Right.
it's like an entire two whole families
Ugh,
Yep.
that were absolutely changed and grew because of
amazing.
this
You.
crazy journey that you go through.
Yep.
It's really the most beautiful thing you can do.
100%.
Oh,
It's cool.
Yeah.
So
well,
cool.
we'll get on that
We
because
will. We
that's
will.
needed in this
It is
community for
needed. It
sure.
is needed. It
But
is.
thank you so much. This was
Gosh, yes.
so fascinating. I
It's
hope we
great.
talk to you again. I want you to come on Friday Facts with us and talk to us more what you're doing is so amazing with
Yeah. With the
the
breast milk.
Facebook
That is
breast
awesome.
milk. Wow, that
And
is
I don't get
quite
to
a
talk to
sentence.
people a lot about surrogacy. This is something I didn't say in my story. I didn't tell my work the whole time.
Oh, I didn't tell my work
I
either.
no, like I didn't tell them I was pregnant.
Same.
You were able to
Yeah,
hide it? Like, wait,
girl,
do you
and
work
I go
from
in
Did
the
you
home?
go
office.
in?
I go in the office every day.
Oh, you go in the office. Oh, I
I go
don't.
in, I listen, the baby was small and my
Yeah.
uterus must have been like tilted back. I didn't plan on not telling them,
Yeah.
How
but
funny.
I just wore like some big hoodies in the office
So
every day. I
wait.
do work in a big fancy corporate office, so I probably look crazy wearing like hoodies every day, but nobody questioned it.
Sure.
And I told HR like, a little while before.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I told my manager literally like the day I went into the
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just there were other pregnant girls in the office. I didn't want to like take the shine away from them,
Oh,
Yeah.
sure,
'cause
yeah.
they were carrying
It's
their own
different.
babies, and everybody in the office would be talking about me if I was a surrogate. So I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, pregnancy kind of feels like being on your period. Like there's not really anything to talk about until the baby's
Sure.
there, and it's not even my
Yeah.
baby. So I'm just like, you know what?
How
You guys can't
funny.
tell, so I just want to tell you.
Yeah,
You
hey,
know?
living my life. You told who you needed to tell when you
Yeah.
needed to tell them.
Yeah.
So that's all that
Right.
matters.
Yeah, but I
Sure.
love talking to other surrogates. That's why I use
Oh.
Facebook because there's a bunch of other
Yeah.
surrogates there. My transfer group, like there's the like summer surrogates 2023 transfer group.
Oh, that's
And like
fun.
then there's the little chats of the girls who transferred like within a few days of you. And we
Yeah.
are like best friends to this day. Like we
That's so
talk
Oh,
every single
sweet.
day. Yeah.
I
So
love
like
that.
there's a girl who's on her second journey now. She just transferred. So we're like learning
Wow.
about her second journey. Yes. Yeah, no, we are all
That's
besties.
cool.
So highly recommend Facebook to new surrogates who want more info or like support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to give the names of all those things because all the Facebook groups I found, I
Yeah.
ain't a
You
fan.
got to be selective on the
Yeah,
groups. Yeah,
there are
because
some there are some
nasty
kinda
people out there.
out
Yeah,
there.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Sophia. This has
Sophia.
been
Thanks.
amazing. You're
Thank you.
amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. It was
Thanks
a
for doing what
pleasure
you're doing
speaking
to that
to you.
community. My gosh. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, I just love it. it's just, a passion of mine. Hopefully one day I'll be a doctor in the community.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
Doesn't seem like enough. Thank you. It's like
thank you.
So much information.
I know. It's like I could just keep talking to you.
I know,
but you know what?
I didn't know I had all this stuff to share.
It's funny because it comes up as you talk. But we'll see you at the brunch whenever we can get that scheduled.
I know. I'm excited.
Us too. Okay. Well, have a great evening.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Bye.
Wow.
That was cool.
I was like fascinating.
I am in awe that she could pump like all of that milk.
That's like, a lot, right?
I just
like that's a lot, right? Yeah.
100 ounces a day?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what the normal ounce is, but like that sounded like a lot. So
amazing.
100 ounces of water a day.
And then she's helped she counted, it was 13 total babies.
Yeah,
she helped.
Wild.
That's amazing.
It really cool.
Is. God.
No, that's really cool. Oh my God.
Thank you again, Sophia. That was awesome.
I know. Thank you so much. If anybody has any stories or any questions that they would like to share, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Stop.Sit.Surrogate, or you guys can email us at Stop.Sit.Surrogate@gmail.com.
And if there's any intended dads
or surrogate
partners,
partners that would like to be a part of this. Like, it doesn't just have to be like a one type podcast. If there's a bunch of people that want to talk, like, everybody's voice is important. We would love to. Again, I'm going to speak for the both of us here, Mom. We're not going to like reach out to you guys and ask that, because that seems a little invasive. So if you know somebody, or if you're going to volunteer your partner, let them know that you're volunteering them, and like have them like reach out to us. Don't just be like sit in front of a camera. But
happy to talk.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, we go.
So this has been another episode of Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to also check out our children's book, My Mom Has Superpowers, sold on Amazon and Etsy.